let's talk a little bit about phrasing and how you speak with patients. This is a really important thing. Like what you say matters and how you say it matters. So there's some key concepts that we want to kind of go over and some specific situations. But like how you interact with patients is very, very important to what we do for a lot of reasons. Just in general, like when we're talking to patients, whether it's getting them to do an exercise or making a change in the schedule or kind of moving them through their treatment, you really need to be again conscious of what you're saying. And a lot of times we're trying to get a patient to do something or encourage them to do something, or get them to kind of fit where we want them. So you want to be careful of kind of how you're talking to them. And if you want to get them to do that thing, the way you say things can make a pretty large difference in your success on that and getting them to do that. So one thing we could talk about, just in general, is with scheduling. So when we're talking about scheduling, and I'm trying to fit a patient into the schedule, this is really important. We've talked before, like how important our schedule is, okay, how important the patient's schedule is, and having it, spaced out and allocated appropriately, kind of like how we want it. All right. But we all know like the patients have a busy schedule, and they're trying to fit this into their normal work schedule and their life schedule and everything. But when you're asking patients about where to schedule, you want to be specific with them. So you don't want to say things like, I have 8, 9, 9:30, 10, and give them a lot of options there. Obviously, for reasons that you'll understand, there's specific spots on the schedule that are going to fit better. Okay. So you want to give them specific examples and times for that. So examples of that, let's say there was a lot of appointments open in the schedule, but they would really fit in well, with that therapist at a certain time. But there's times throughout the day. So you could start out and say, hey, does morning or afternoon work for you? Okay, so that splits the schedule kind of into 2 blocks there. Okay, like I'm actually going to be coming in the morning, so the patient might say. So then you want to give specific times for that. Okay, so you don't want to say again like I have 8, 9 times. All right, I have an appointment at 8 o'clock. Can you do that? And then stop. Okay, a lot of aides will get into the habit of I want to give a lot of options. Again, you want to direct them to where they need to be in the schedule that works best for us as far as our patient, timing and everything. So when you're thinking about that, you want to give specific times. It's 8 o'clock, and then wait for an answer. Like, no, I have an 8:30. No, I have a 10, and just keep going. Okay, and you can just tell the patient, all right, well, we don't have any times there. It's something in the afternoon work. It's something on a different day, and then again, be specific. I have Tuesday at 2. Can you do that? And then again, just wait for their answer. Like allow them to answer that question, and then move on from there. Don't give them a lot of different options. So you want to get them in the schedule that works best for us, as a practice, but also to get that patient one-on-one time, and and that fits into the schedule that's already there. So that's really, really important. You want to be specific and give them like specific times to kind of get them in the schedule. Another thing that we talk about with patients, again, we're trying to get them to kind of do things. And one thing that comes up a lot with patients now, a lot of times when patients come into the office, they will start on certain activities, and we typically just as a patient treatment, people are going to warm up. It's the best way to get increased blood flow, get things moving. So our patients will typically warm up on like a bike or the arm bike or the stationary bike or treadmill. But one thing I hear of a lot from aides and even therapists, and we've talked about this, is talking to patients, is, hey, where do you want to start today? Or like, do you usually do this? When you're saying that, you're really saying, I guess you can do whatever you want, and that's not what we're looking to do. Obviously, we have to direct treatment, okay? But if I was at a physical therapy clinic and I walked in and the therapist said, so what do you want to do today? I'd be, I want to go home. I'm like, you're supposed to be directing treatment. That's what I'm paying my $50 copay. So even if they, usually start on something, you don't want to ask them like, like, what do you want to do, or like even like during treatment, if you're an aide and you're working with a with a patient, and there's some different exercises that they have to get through, you don't want to say like, oh, well, what do you usually do next, or like what do you want to do next? Again, we're providing skilled service, so we have to direct that treatment. If you don't know what the patient's moving on to next, you got to go ask the therapist. Hey, Jay, Jane's done with this exercise here. What do you want me to move her on to? Or is there something else that you need to do with her? You're always checking in with the therapist, and the therapist is directing treatment. Okay, the patient is not directing treatment. They've come to us so that we can direct treatment, and that's a very important part of what we do. So ask the patient, like, what do you usually do, or what do you go on to next, is not acceptable. Like, you can't ask them that. You have to find out what they're moving on to next, or find out what they usually start with, and you always check with the therapist to figure that out. Those are just a couple. I'm sure we're going to add some more, but just common interactions with patients that we have. That how you say things really makes a world of difference. Again, we're going to do some more of these, and how we kind of phrase things with patients, but we want to direct patients where we want them to go. That's a really important thing, and how you say things will give you much more success in doing that.